Well, hey there, friends. It's Leslie Hughes here, principal of Punch Media and LinkedIn profile writer. Today, I had the most fun chatting with my good friend, Phil Gerbyshak. And Phil is the author of 10 Ways to Make It Great. And he and I have so much to talk about, including a few different areas that we disagree on when it comes to LinkedIn. And most of the time, we agree on building authenticity. You'll also find out in the video why I am wearing glasses today. My first public reveal of me wearing glasses, probably ever in the history of social media, maybe even publicly since 1989. Anyway, enjoy my chat with Phil Gerbyshak.
Yeah, we're live. Oh,
We're live! Live. Okay, so we're live on our little custom streaming service. We're not live on YouTube, and I think we're going live now on YouTube and Facebook, at least my personal Facebook page. So there we go.
awesome.
It's always a bit of a rodeo in the beginning, but at some point I will get used to using technology. What I need is a producer, or maybe I need a Phil Gerbyshak who can manage all this stuff, because you're a super pro at this already.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I'm excited
Thank you.
to talk with you.
You too.
Yeah. So we had a little chat beforehand because, I'm all about authenticity. So I've already told Phil that I am wearing my glasses today as an homage, as a nod to my friend Phil, who is very well known for his glasses, his orange glasses. And so I am wearing, and so I'm doing, wearing these glasses, which, unless you really know, and even people that really, unless I've slept over at your house, you don't know that I wear glasses, because I don't wear them out in public. So this is a new thing for me. And actually, I had heart palpitations, Phil, wearing glasses in public for the first time.
Oh, you look great, Leslie. That's a good look for you.
I feel, as I said, I feel a little Bailey quarters in these ones. And so before, with the pandemic, actually I had an appointment to get laser eye surgery, and then the pandemic hit. So right as soon as I was going to come back from Florida last year, I had the laser eye surgery scheduled, and then out the window it went.
Oh boy.
And then I thought I was going to, and this is like, so for some of my other friends that sometimes do Zoom calls, I was telling them I thought I was going to be Jennifer Aniston and wear these like really cute aviators, and I got them. I didn't look like Jenny Aniston. I looked like the wife from Welcome Back, Kotter is what I ended up looking like in those glasses. So
I'm Radar O'Reilly, so it's fine.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So I'm so excited. Actually, I have your book here in front of me too. That your book. One of the many books to make it great book. So I am delighted, thrilled, excited to talk to you about all things LinkedIn, because you and I have many, we're 99% of the time, we agree on LinkedIn, on how our approach, except for one thing. So I'm excited to talk about that, because there's one thing that you and I are a little bit different in our approach.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce you, because I get so excited about telling everybody about who you are. So I know that you wear many hats, including, can we go down the laundry list? You're an advertising specialist. You're a keynote speaker. I was watching your keynote on your website last night. Gosh, you're amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
You're an author of more than one book, 5 books.
5.
Talk show host, and then we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And you've had, and you're also a pinball wizard.
That's true. Yep.
It's pretty cool. And you've had a lot of recognitions, and we could go through the laundry list: USA Today, NBC, Investors Business Daily, Financial Times, Fortune, ABC, The Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Inc., and you were named one of the top 25 salespeople to know by Crunchbase. And I don't doubt that for a minute, because I know you, and we're also going to talk a little bit about all the amazing people that you've had on your show. So I'm excited that you're going to give insights. And I think a lot of other people are maybe as excited about talking about LinkedIn that you and I.
I know, right? This is great. I love talking about LinkedIn with you, or whatever you want to talk about, my friend.
We do love our LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of questions, and I'm probably going to go off script, which I often do. So let's start off. Okay. So I want to start off with our controversial discussion about building connections.
Yeah. Yes.
We do it.
So tell me your strategy first. Yeah. Let's hear this.
I think mine has been a bit more conservative than yours. I typically what I will do is I vet each and every person before I connect with them, which is I think that's where we differ. Typically, either I look at their profile or I look at who they are, and I think, is this going to be a mutual value of us to connect? So, say somebody living, you know, on the other side of the world who isn't necessarily going to be somebody that might be my target audience or somebody that I'm not interested in reading their posts and things like that, I might ignore, or I might respond to them and say, thank you for the invitation to connect. Can you refresh my memory as to how we know each other? So I don't accept every single connection request, which I think the last time you and I sat down for like a heart to heart, you do it the opposite. You accept it and then you start talking with them. Is that right?
Well, so I'll do both, right? It depends. If you send me a personal invite and it's actually personal, and you have a real profile, yeah, I'll accept you. But then if you suck, then I'll block you, right? I'm pretty simple that way, right? Like I get plenty of pitches. I think I must be connected to some franchise people because I get offers for franchising all the time, and I'm like, nah, not really. I mean, nothing wrong with franchises. It's just not my jam. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends, right? And sometimes for an experiment, I will just accept everybody that's stuck in my inbox.
Wow.
And blow them out and see what happens. So I wait till that gets to 500. I think I'm at 473 right now, pending, because I'm not sure if they're people or not.
Yeah.
And so then maybe I'll just go accept them all and see what happens.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's the thing that makes me concerned because, and somebody that you know much better than I do, even though, you know, he lives in my city, which is Ron Tite. I've borrowed this from him, which is, you know, then you get the pitch slap. I saw him speak about that. It's like you accept those connection requests from somebody, and then right away it's like, hey, Phil, want to buy my stuff? That's what I'm nervous about is like, okay, do you want to buy me a drink before you want to get to the next phase?
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to answer that two ways because I think it's important. So first, as a female, guys are way more aggressive and often disgusting on LinkedIn. No, they are, right?
I haven't had that experience yet.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad, right? But I do have female friends of mine and colleagues of mine who have said, right, it's worse than a pitch slap. It's the eggplant. And that's disgusting, right? So yeah, right? That makes me sad. So that's the first thing. So I understand your apprehension. The other part is I wouldn't worry about a pitch because a pitch just means obviously you've immediately disqualified yourself from ever doing business with me if that's our first kiss, right? So we're done. I won't even reply. And I give people a chance. And the interesting thing, there's ways, I mean, some of the folks that we know do silly stuff, like they'll put like a rocket ship at the beginning of their name so that it turns into a control character for those people that use automation. Or I'm trying to think who it was that puts, he's no longer the chief marketing officer, he's the chief Mario officer. So if you're a human, you'd say that and say, oh, that's so funny, Mario. Well, I'm Luigi. Let's talk, right? Like Mario Brothers. But if you're some automation scumbag and that's all you do and you don't take the time to actually look, well, now you send a message that says, hey, as the chief Mario officer well, come on, doofus. You didn't even read my profile. So yeah, so I see that. That's but again, right away, Leslie, we can disconnect. If somebody sucks, disconnect, right? Disconnect, block, say goodbye, arrivederci, you're never getting back in to my network. And the great news about LinkedIn is it keeps the history. So I can see, oh, terrible person, you're a spammer, go away, never connect again. So I don't see a risk with it. But I would say, though, to your point, if I can't actually introduce someone in my network, that does decrease some of my power. But most people, I mean, truly, I've not been fortunate to have a dinner with everybody that's in my network, and I never will. Virtual is real now. It wasn't 15 years ago, maybe, but it is now. We have Zoom, we have StreamYard, we have, ways we can FaceTime, whatever. I mean, I got to have dinner with you, and I feel very fortunate for that, but that's not always the case. Right. And we were still friends anyway. Yeah. And I think it depends, it depends on the person, right? If you're not a friendly person, then that probably doesn't work very well for you. But if you are, then it probably does. So I think it's important that you do it as you do, right? I don't ever tell anybody to do it exactly as I do, but that's why I always explain it, because I think it helps people think through their own connection strategy and think about, who should I connect to? Am I, and I can tell you, sadly, I know people that use LinkedIn for dating. They do. And so if that's what you do, that's cool, right? That do you, boo. That's cool. But it's just not me. It's not me, right? I'm not dating on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and so therein sort of lies, I mean, you and I are both about the authenticity. Authenticity is crucial for both of us. I think that's what we'll always agree upon. And I know I go to you, and you know that I've come to you in the past few years insofar as saying, how do I navigate this, Phil? How do I do this from this perspective, Phil? And so even though we're in the same competitive landscape, you and I see things eye to eye insofar as how do you actually authentically build those connections in order to deepen those relationships. So I think on almost everything else, we're going to agree on. And I think the other thing that I'm sort of curious about from your perspective, which I don't have because I don't get spammed. I haven't been hit on LinkedIn. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I haven't. And the other thing is, so I've kept my network relatively small where, and it's all relative as you know. So I think I have 3,000 connections, which to some people is a lot. And then I have another 3,000 followers. But you have like 15,000. And so in that context, my thing is I keep my network small because I don't necessarily want to see the feed of people that I don't know. But I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth. Your perspective is I want to get to know these people, so I don't mind seeing their feeds. So if someone's like in a different language or things like that, like do you not get bombarded with 15,000 connections? Are you not bombarded with status updates from people and you're like, ugh, or do you just like hide them?
Well, I don't spend a ton of time on the homepage. I actually am going to use Sales Navigator, and I'm going to tag people and add them to groups and find ways of slicing it that way. But then I limit my time actually on LinkedIn for just that doom scroll, right, of scrolling the homepage. And I typically will try, unless I'm on my mobile, which is a lot of the time, to be honest. If I'm on the desktop, though, I change it to recent. I'm not looking for top. I don't care what's popular. If you just posted, to me, that's way more interesting than somebody that, let's pick on our friend Ron Tite, who's really funny and way more popular than either one of us. His posts are going to be way more popular and get way more likes and comments and shares than yours or mine are because he's just funny, right? And comedy plays.
And there's great content every time. Like every post, it's like, boom, it's like he drops the mic every time. Yeah.
Yeah, that too, right? So he's got all that, right? And he's a brilliant marketer, right? So he's got all that going on, and he's a, dashingly good-looking man. So, so I'm a big fan of Ron. And but I don't care about his popular posts because everybody's fangirling on those. What I care about is what's happening right now, right? If I'm in a networking setting, I don't want somebody to replay the last 4 weeks of their life.
Right.
What's important to you right now? Like, what are you working on right now? And that's what I want to hear. To me, that's what's important. So that's where I'll change that. And frankly, I don't even remember the last person I unfollowed because I don't really care. Like it doesn't matter. I'm intentional. And frankly, I know that with a real network, I'm 1 or 2 people away from everybody that I want to talk to. And certainly if I mention your name and it's someone that's an opener. But perhaps we have 117 people in common. And perhaps you're not the first person that they remember, but they do remember Ron Tite. So they might see that, right? So for me, I do want to go a little bit broader because I want the second degree connection that maybe I can learn from, that maybe I can work with, that I can get to know and be friends with.
Yeah. Which I totally understand. And I do have a little bit of FOMO insofar as not having that 15,000 connections. I was invited on a Clubhouse app not too long ago, and they were talking about that. And it was a very salesy. The guy was very like, hey, Phil, so tell us, how many followers have you got? And these other people were like, 30,000 followers. I've got, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, 6,000 followers. Like I felt a little shame for not having and I know, and I have to like reframe that in my brain that it's not about, but there is something to be said in so far as like the FOMO about the vanity metrics of how many people you're connected with. But also, I think, and you might have more insights than I do because I don't have the answers to this, LinkedIn actually rewards those people who have more followers or more connections, even if they're inauthentic. So it's okay to go ahead and scroll all those things. Like, I don't have access to LinkedIn Live yet. And I wonder if it's, and I don't know, if it's because of the number of followers I don't have. I don't know.
So two parts. So LinkedIn Live, apply every week if you want it, because they flush the toilet every week of all the bad applications, and they just don't let you know, right? So, I mean, I don't even think they have the automated, hey, you suck, go away emails. Because they did it first, right? Like I got rejected like 6 times before I finally got through. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I'm such a Canadian. I'm such a Canadian fella. I'm like, oh, please let me, maybe, please. Oh, they said no.
Keep asking.
You should go away.
Keep asking, right? So every week, for real, put on your calendar every Monday morning, ask. Okay. Make an ask every Monday. So that's it. Does LinkedIn reward high numbers? My answer to that is they used to, but now it's the ratio, right? So 6,000 followers, how many are actually connected and engaged and interested in that? And so I'll tell you also, recently, I have seen a lot of the folks that would tag 50 people in their status updates become very invisible.
Oh, they become invisible because it's like, oh.
Yeah, I'm not seeing them anymore because I don't engage with that.
Yeah.
Like if I see that your status update is all blue, which means it's all company pages, people, hashtags, links, all this garbage. Well, I'm not even going to look at your post. I'm going to scroll past it, and LinkedIn counts time on page. So I would say you might only have 6,000 people, but I'm positive that many of those people, A, they know who you are, B, they're interested in what you have to say, and C, actually take the time to read, what is Leslie saying? What did she post? So I would, I understand the FOMO, but even like, I don't care. Like, I want real connection. Honest to God, I would rather meet 5 you than 5 million schmucks that might follow me on LinkedIn. I mean, right? Like, I mean, I can call you, you can call me. We're actual friends because of LinkedIn.
Because of LinkedIn.
Right? That's what I would like. Whether it's friendship or business or, mentorship or whatever, that's what I would like. I would like that, not everything else, right? I don't care about numbers because frankly, none of my clients ever say, well, Phil, so how many followers do you have? Or they look and I just laugh and I'm like, well, I don't know, 14, 15, 17. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter, right? How many sales conversations do you have? How many real opportunities for business have you had? And, LinkedIn Live, to talk about that and this video, LinkedIn Live is merely just one more way to get in front of your audience, a podcast, a video. It's one more way. And sometimes, people are like, oh, wow, you're doing that. And sometimes like, yawn, okay. But once you get beyond the yawn or the wow, now it's about the real content and about the real engagement and the real entertainment value so that people can actually get there. Because if 30,000 people are your connections, and that's the top of LinkedIn, they only give you 30,000. After that, then what? Like, I can't let good people in. I don't want my network to get to 30,000. I'm quite happy between 14 and 20. And I don't know, I'm not purposeful about building it fast. I do build it slow. Like if we have a meeting and I like you and I think there's an opportunity for us to work together, absolutely, I'm gonna send you a connection request. Or even before, right? Hey, I thought it made sense because we're talking today at 1:30. Let's get connected on LinkedIn, see if we can help each other. Of course, but to go out and search and try to find 1,000 people, because if 1,000 people comment on my post, I'm going to freak out. I don't have time for that crap. Right? I mean, truly, I don't have time for that crap, and nobody does. If my phone rings 1,000 times, I'm like, so I don't want that. I want one at a time. That's all I can handle, right? I mean, I try not to double book my calendar, and I try not to double book my inbox because it just isn't good. I get those all the time. I mean, I bet I've got 6 or 7 in-mails of things that could pay me, but they're not even worth my time right now to play with. Because, it's a one-off. It's not an ongoing relationship. They're not my target market, but they have money. They want to spend it. I don't care. I'm not trying to be flip, and I'm not trying to sound like a privileged baby here, but truly, it's not that important, right? It doesn't fit in my strategy. So I try not to waste time on that.
Yeah. Because we only have 24 hours in a day.
Right. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, and you're busy enough as it is. So, and I think we both, and I think that's kind of a cool takeaway for anybody else that's watching is that LinkedIn is literally how we met. I think you sent me a connection request.
Yep.
Back and forth. Then when I went to Florida, I was like, yo, I'm in town. Let's hook up. And it's so cool. That's what I think is so cool about social media is you build these new connections and I think going through the laundry list and just click and connect with people, it's like firing, I always say it's like firing business cards like ninja stars at people at a network meeting. It's like, pow, 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 pow. It's like, where does the authenticity with that? But I mean, you and I so agree with that because that's what, it's really interesting that even in 2021, that people still don't understand that these boxes that we're talking through, there's a human being on the other side of it, right?
Yeah, and it's so obvious. I mean, we miss that with the phone. I mean, I've watched people do that in person. I watch them do it on LinkedIn. Yeah. Speed networking doesn't help you. Yeah. Slow down, right? Like it might add to your network. Beautiful, great, Yahoo, but it doesn't really add to your pocketbook. Yeah. So take the time, right? Really deepen every single relationship you can. That's that you want to anyway.
Yeah. So speaking of cool, authentic relationships, I'm wildly fascinated with how you you have this amazing podcast. I've learned so much from you. I listen to you whenever I possibly can. And you have had Seth Godin interviewed more than once, Tom Peters, the brand called you, how do you do it, Phil Gerbyshak? And I know you're amazing, so I'm not taking away from the fact, but you're a regular people. How is it to know these? Is it just the same thing? Is it just building these same authentic, you treat Leslie the same way you have treated Seth Godin? How do you do it, Phil?
Actually, I would argue I probably treat you better because I know you better. Yeah. No, and that's true, right? I've spent more time with you than I have with Seth or Tom. And so Seth, I mean, if we rewind 15 years, when he, I wrote about his work because I genuinely appreciate it. Let's talk about authenticity, right? I would read his stuff and I had feedback on it. So I read it on my own blog because Seth to this day still does not allow comments on his blog. He says, take your conversation back to your place, don't bring it to mine, which is really great, right? And so I did that. And then, gosh, I can't remember if it was Purple Cow or Meatball Sunday, but I got on I got on a list of 5 people that got to talk to Seth 15 years ago. And then when This Is Marketing came out a couple years ago, I just messaged him and genuinely, I'm like, Seth, I would love to help you launch your book. Would it be okay if I interviewed you? Do you have time for a conversation? And he said, yes. So that's how Seth said yes. Tom and I have followed each other on Twitter for 10 or 11 years. And we've had conversations back and forth. And I'll tell you, Tom is one of the humblest people you ever want to know. Tom Peters, very humble man, very wonderful man.
He's certainly authentic on Twitter.
What's that?
He's certainly authentic on Twitter. I see that. He's if he wants to complain about something, he has no fears about saying, I don't want this. Yep.
Yeah. So I would ask him if he'd come on my show, and because I started reading Tom, and not when in the 81 when In Search of Excellence came out. I was 8 years old. That's not the truth. But when I was in high school and college and in the Navy, right, I would start reading business books and I would, understand this. And I knew that Tom started really business consulting and leadership ideation, if you will, as a thing. So I would ask him, and frankly, Tom would always say, I don't have anything new to talk about, so I can't come on your show. And finally, when the Excellence Dividend came out, I messaged him and I said, Tom, now is the time. I want to talk to you about your book. And he agreed. So I've talked to him now 3 times. I really did, Tom and I get along great. And I'm really fortunate, actually, that Tom's right hand is a woman by the name of Shelley Dolly that I've become dear friends with. I've known her for longer than I've known you even, Leslie. So long time. And so Shelley always, if Tom's got something new, usually they reach out to me now and say, hey, do you have room for Tom on your show? And of course my answer is yes. I mean, I really like the guy, but I do my homework. Let's be clear. So let's really talk about it, right? So if Tom's written a book, I've read the book.
Yeah.
If Tom is promoting something, I have done my homework. I am prepared. I'm not Tom Peters. I don't have as much insight as he does, but I have as much insight as I can so that I can add to the conversation and ask real questions about it that not everybody else is getting. I mean, of course they send out talking points for a book, right? I mean, you can basically, if you read the acknowledgments, and the back liner or the back cover and the preface, you've got the gist of any book, but you can't ask any detailed questions. Mm-hmm. So I try to prep enough. In fact, here, I've got my remarkable notebook here. This is my notes, right? So I take notes, and not that I prep questions. I want to be clear. Yeah. I don't, but I do prep points. Like Tom's new book is awesome. So I prepped a bunch of points that I might want to cover. And I do kind of, for lack of a better term, strip the first question or two so it doesn't sound totally janky, but that's it. I mean, and then we just go. And so I ask. I guess I'm fearless in that I'm going to ask, but I've also been podcasting since 2006 or 7.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of credibility there.
Yeah.
I've had great people. Right, I've had great people on the show. You're going to come on soon. We're going to do that. We're going to change. Yeah, for sure. Right. I mean, but that's the thing, and if I can be helpful, I want to, and that's actually the reason I even podcast. To be quite honest with you, is because I want to introduce new ideas to my network. My big value is in connection. Like if you think, I hope that when you and other people think of Phil Gerbyshak, they use the C word, right? They think of connection.
I think of authenticity. I do. I really think like you're the one.
Thank you.
Awesome, authentic. Like what you see is what you get, and I also think of like somebody. Can't think of the word right now, but you're always up to help. Like you're always out to educate and empower, engage. All those threes of the social media thing. You're so authentic. Yeah. You always take the time to respond to me, like almost instantaneously. I mean, I know how busy you are, and you're always there. You're always like. Yeah. So that's what I think of you. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
And a good hug. You're good. I love your hugs. You're a good hugger.
Thank you. Well, you hugged me back, so it makes it easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and I think that's so cool. And I think, and I actually wanted to give a shout out to your I think it was your podcast, or at least your show yesterday, the Erica, is it pronounced?
Erica Dewan. Yeah, she's awesome.
Oh my gosh, Phil, thank you for like talking with her, because this whole thing about the digital body language, I was like, oh my gosh. And I reached out to connect with her on LinkedIn, and now I am going to sign up and I'm going to register for her book because I'm wildly fascinated with it. So, you did another one on LinkedIn advertising that now I say, well, my friend Phil Gerbyshak was talking about. So I'm always like, I name drop you. My friend Phil Gerbyshak says, good. My friend. So yeah, so you are amazing insofar as like just educating and empowering your network with great information, and you're my go-to when it comes to like new info. So I just love that.
Thank you.
One of the questions I have too, like one of the things I'm sure you know, because we're sort of in the same wheelhouse, is this fear of using LinkedIn. So, I mean, you and I probably are both big cheerleaders. We're anybody who's watching knows how excited we get about this stuff. So how, like, have you been able to like get people to reframe like how to use this, how to like what the fears are behind it, any of that kind of stuff? What advice do you have for people that are afraid of sort of putting themselves out there on the business network?
Sure. Yeah, I do see that, right? I think the first thing to understand that I help people with is to get over the fear of being perfect or too much business, because that just doesn't resonate. So the fear of perfection, just publish, just get it over with, just get out there, right? That's the first thing that you have to really do, is just kind of release that. And then the fear of being too business-like, here's the thing, right? So wear what you wear, like talk about what you talk about. I've got one of my favorite friends here in Florida is a gentleman by the name of Andy. And Andy used to only post company stuff. Like the company would give him content and he would post that. And I would look and I'd be like, Andy, I know you as Mr. Tampa, and you never post about Tampa. He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, all I see is corporate this and corporate that, and nobody ever engaged with your posts. But then I hang out with you and I just love you, man. You regale me with insight about Tampa and how awesome it is. I said, here's what I'd like you to try. And I know your firm is worried because, you're a financial professional and you have a lot of regulations. But here's what I want you to try. Stop talking about work and start talking about the restaurants you go to, the cool things you see, talk about your family, talk about your dog, and don't give any investment advice at all on LinkedIn. Just be yourself. Like you and me just hanging out, having a beer. He goes, okay. So the first time, he goes, so how do I start? I said, great. We'll take a picture of us and you're going to post it and just tag me. And just talk about one thing that I shared. And he did that. 67 likes, 15 comments. Starts posting about the things around Tampa. Now, people get that he is Mr. Tampa. They open the conversation. And then, oh, yeah, Andy also could manage my money. Oh, wow, what a bonus. What a nice guy. I'd love to have him do that, right? But it's the 0th impression. So get past that, right? Get past the fact that you don't have to be perfect and you don't have to talk about business because, frankly, most people don't want to hear about business. Not saying never. I have to be clear. Not saying never, right? But don't make that the thrust of your intro or if you do that, like if we're at a networking event, we both have a glass of wine. If all you do is talk about work, I'm going to go the other way. It's the same way on LinkedIn. Like sometimes, of course, share your LinkedIn stuff, but gush about the good stuff that's happening in your community and be part of it, right? Like put yourself in the middle of your community and get past the fact that it's not going to be perfect. Some pictures are going to look goofy. In fact, I would tell you, it's fun to be goofy. I mean, I love your glasses, Leslie, and it's one of the things, right? If we're together, we take a picture and one we take sort of serious and one we go, and that'd be the one that would get all the results, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
So get over that, right? Folks, if you're listening, just be who you are, just more often, right? And don't worry so much about perfection or business or what you think people have to see. Do be valuable, of course, right? But everything else, it'll come.
This may be an area that maybe we might differ on a little bit because I don't necessarily want to see everything people are doing in their home life. I get that there is a balance. I love that you've branded yourself as the pinball wizard and things like that, and you are authentic. But at the same time, like if I want to connect with people and see all of the things they're doing in their regular everyday life, I would want to connect with them on, say, Facebook or Instagram or something like that for their lifestyle posts. So I think your point is have a fine balance of, because it is the business network. It's like we are going on there to invest time as opposed to waste time. So we're probably agreeing. I just probably would like to see this skew more professional because when I see stuff that is of people's their personal life of, oh, here's me and my kids, I'm like, don't get, like I don't know.
Well, and I would argue that that's almost too far, right? But what I mean by personal life, right? So again, so think about your community.
Yeah.
Your community is LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Let's be really clear, right? So you should be talking about that, not just about the customers you work with.
Right.
Or here's direct advice, right? So if we take community, where do we hang out? Yeah. I'm not saying that we post tons of pictures of kids. I want to be really clear. In fact, I don't know, there's an Instagram account that has Fake Kid Monday. People don't even have kids and they talk about advice that they gave their kids. And it's totally true, right? Yeah. So that's totally hokey. But what I mean is, if you want to be known in your community, take a picture and then give me an insight, right? So we're at this great event. Yeah. I spoke last week for MPI Wisconsin at their education day, right? And I got a picture with the organizer. I got a picture of me with the stage in back of me, and I got a picture with the other keynote speaker. So I'm going to post that, and I'm going to talk about some of the things I shared and to gush on MPI Wisconsin because it was such a well-done event. I'm going to gush about them. Well, that's my community, right? That's not work. Yeah. That's personal, right? That's where I am. So I think it's a nuance.
Slant to it. I don't mean to. Well,
that's right.
I mean to interrupt, but it does have a professional. And I get that's where I think you and I are sort of simpatico there. It's like,
for sure. Yeah. Yep. You can go too far either way, right? To that point, I'm not just looking for pictures of you walking on the beach, right? I want some insight too. I mean, obviously, but not just insight and not just beach.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, sometimes I get when I see these things about people posting too much about their personal life, I'm like, whoa, back it up a little bit.
Right.
To your point, I mean, I think the universal theme here, I think from both of us is be authentic, and it's okay for what I do my best, because as you probably know, even though I'm really chatty, is I still have fears of putting myself out there, and I want that to be clear with a lot of people too, is that even as an extrovert, even as somebody who it's still challenging. Every time I click send, I'm like, ugh, people are gonna judge. People are gonna say, "Oh, Leslie, are we seeing you again? Like, we don't want to see you anymore." And so I do have those fears, and I do it anyway. And because and no one else is gonna do it if I don't do it. And and that's where the success comes in. Is if we keep
over and over again
doing it, and it's that trust, right? Is that imprint of, am I that person who's building trust, and hopefully being the one that people are like, oh, when I see Leslie's post, I stop. It's not just today's inspirational post is blah 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 blah.
Right.
It's like, how do I make sure that that's done right? So, what do you think? We've talked about some of these already, but if there's anything else to add insofar as like the biggest mistakes that you see people using on LinkedIn.
Well, the spray and pray method is really a big mistake for people, either with connections, not having a strategy behind that, or just posting random crap that doesn't help anybody, including themselves, or, stuffing any of those posts, right? Well, too many links, too many tags, too many anything, too many hashtags. I think those are big mistakes. And then just not using it is a big mistake too. I mean, you have to use the tool, or it's, a hammer doesn't do you any good sitting in your drawer. You got to take it out and use it, right? So people who don't ever use it or are so infrequent, it's really hard to take them seriously. It's really hard to see, if you don't give first. I mean, there's such a culture of don't pitch me, bro. But that's mostly because you don't know me, you don't really understand my thing, and you're just coming at me without anything in that, right? My friend Kathy Klotz's guest says, get out of my sales pants, right? Like, come on.
Get out of my what? Sales pants?
My sales pants, yeah. Stick your hand on somebody's pants. Hey, buy my stuff.
Pants.
Oh, hey. Whoa. Yeah, right.
I didn't realize it was sales pants. I thought you said like pans, like in the frying pan.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, bacon, right? So no, that's another story, right? But so get out of your sales pants, right? And build a relationship.
Yeah.
Take the time to, and there's a fine balance, right? I get it. Salespeople are the least patient people on the planet. It's like, well, I just want them to say no. Well, the reason they say no, A, you came on too strong, and B, timing sucks. Like, you can't guess on timing, but I can tell you, if we build a relationship, A, you'll forgive me if I send you a pitch that says, hey, I'm working on this. Is this of any value to you? Hey, I'm calling you up. I'm wondering, what do you think about this? And if it doesn't fit, you're going to be okay, because, you've seen me before, and you're going to answer the phone, right? I mean, that's the other thing. I get cold calling. I swear I do. I really do. But here's the thing. If you're not in my phone, you go to voicemail. If you leave me a voicemail, I'm going to look you up on LinkedIn. If I look at your profile, we're not connected. I'm wondering why you called me. I listen to your voicemail, and it's me. I'm not calling you back. I'm a sales guy. I got it, right? I know this. I understand it is hard work, but do the work. Like, do the darn work, right? Do the research. Make a real connection. Tell me something valuable that you actually think I could benefit from. Mm-hmm. Not just generic crap based on, oh, I see you're an owner, so therefore you must be interested in franchise opportunities. Doesn't work. Don't do that. So that's a big mistake too, right? But if we flip that over, right, because it's a balance, don't spend 2 hours researching one person.
Right.
Like, be willing to kind of hit and run a little bit, get 8 or 10 or 20 plates spinning, so that way one no doesn't sting so bad.
Yeah. So from a sales perspective, because this is really your wheelhouse, Phil, is so what I typically will tell my clients, because again, we're all about that authenticity. I like the cold calling. I have friends and colleagues that are using these automated softwares to send out because they believe it's a numbers game. I'm a little nervous about that. At the very least, let's just say so I am looking to, as a salesperson, reach out and connect with someone. They're in my target list. So you send that I always believe in sending that authentic first request, as opposed to just randomly. Anyway, What's the follow-up question? So when, I guess it depends on
It depends who they are.
Yeah. So what would be
Yeah.
how would you follow up once you've made that initial connection request? How, just randomly saying, like, a financial advisor, for example, how would you say a financial advisor would follow up with someone to say, buy my stuff, without saying,
Well, so first, nobody closes on social. What you can close for is an appointment or a conversation, right? So here we go. So just got, like, literally, I knew I would have one. As we're talking,
Yeah.
we're right. As we're talking, I get, hi, Phil, I saw your profile and see that we have some shared contact and interest. I like to connect with business leaders and founders and entrepreneurs. After we connect, please tell me more about how I can help you. Okay. Not a piece of that is follow-upable.
Yeah.
Not a piece of that, right? Yeah. There's nothing there. Now, let's talk about Andy. Andy works with people in Tampa, okay? And other places too. But Andy's first follow-up can be, hey, I see that you're someone in Tampa, let's connect. Follow-up, hey, where in Tampa do you live? 3, what kind of food do you like to eat? 4, hey, I'd love to have a cup of coffee with you and help you, meet you up in your neighborhood to go to your favorite coffee shop. Mm-hmm. Now we meet in person and now we can have a conversation.
Right.
That's what it's all about, right? So, and that first meeting is not hard press. Okay, so I bought my pad of paper. I've got 78 questions I need to ask you to see if I can sell you some life insurance. No, my goal, just like if it's a website visit, is to progressively profile you. First, I learn your name and your LinkedIn address. Then I learn your name, your LinkedIn address, your dog's name, where you live, maybe a little bit, not your house address, but where you live, what you like, what you do. And I try to earn a conversation with you and earn the ability to go deeper. It takes a little more time, of course, but it works. And it takes the time. And here, ready? You want to shortcut that. I see my dear friend, Leslie. How do you know her? The first meeting now is all about Leslie. That's all we talk about. Because then that person's going to ask me, so how do you know Leslie? And we talk about you. And oh my gosh, look at the time. It's been 25 minutes. Gotta go. Hey, it was great talking to you. Can we talk again? Or I hate your guts. I never want to see you again. Goodbye. Yeah. I mean that's okay. Either way, right? It's okay with a no. That's fine. Or you know what? I don't really know Leslie. Oh, well, you should. She's awesome. Let's talk about her.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we can move to business, whatever. But the key is to find something worth talking about. I mean, Seth Godin talked about this in Purple Cow. The goal is to be remarkable. Remarkable means worthy of being remarked on, not 1 in a quadrillion here. So find something in common. Find something, right? Andy, Tampa, coffee, wine, dog, Bayshore Boulevard, food, you name it, right? I can find 26 things that I can talk to Andy about. Mm-hmm. But that's because I found one thing and we went deep on that first.
Yeah. So, as you know, like you just even said it, those salespeople, they want to get right into bed right away. That's their job, is to try and convert people. So how many touch points do you, I know it's like there's an overarching, but like from a sales perspective, how many times do you think you need to have those interactions? Or is it, you just never know?
Well, you don't know, but I would say you have to go after it as though you're going to try to touch them 20 times.
Yeah.
15 or 20 times. Now that's not with the same message. Mm-hmm. It's not on the same platform, but I want you to think about this. Phone call, email, text message, LinkedIn, public message, LinkedIn, private message. I could send you an in-mail. I can send you a piece of mail. I could find you on Facebook. I can comment on your Instagram. Mm-hmm. I can do that via video, via voice. I can do that with a postcard. I do that with a book. That's 11 different methods I just went through without trying. I just off the top of my head there. There's more, but you have to be persistent adding value. What is the value here now? Do you leave every message? No, don't leave a message every time. Do you always send people book? No, there's no always here. But what you do want to do is you want to combo it. So Tony Hughes is the king of combo prospecting. Justin Michael, right? These guys are good at combo prospecting, way better than me. And their big thing is I call, and here's my message. Hey, Leslie, you don't have to call me back. because you didn't answer the phone because I'm not in your phone, so you don't know who I am. But I just sent you an email that I'd like a little bit of feedback on. So watch your email. This is Phil. Oh, the email's in your box. And you see from Phil, quick question for you, Leslie. And that's it.
I love that.
Right? And then I follow up though, right? I'm trying to progressively get deeper to see if there's value that I can provide by earning a conversation. Now you can blast through with a referral. You could make an introduction. I could name drop. Hey, do you know my friend Leslie? Right? You can do all those things. They do shorten a cycle up, but people are busy. They're not intentionally ignoring you. And chances are your timing is not their timing, right? If you call me, hey, let's go to dinner. Well, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not hungry now. Oh, well, I am. Well, who cares? But if you call me when I'm hungry, whatever you want to eat is good. Let's go, right? Giddy up. So I think that's the key, right? We have to understand that our timings don't match. We have to add value, have to name drop, right, to speed up the cycle. And we have to be persistent 15 or 20 times with 8 to 10 different possible methods of connection. Not that we use them all, but just understand we have to have all those tools in our tool belt.
And one of the interesting things that I find is that people expect this social media thing to be a silver bullet or an easy button and it's going to happen. But they don't have that same expectation in a before social media, that these interactions they'd have with going to networking meetings, to handing out business cards, to doing the work. They're like, but that's a part of sales. But in social media, because this is the word I hate.
Instant.
It's instant and it's free advertising, which makes my head explode when my students will say that to me. It's free advertising. First of all, nothing is free. And 2, advertising is very different than marketing, than sales, and building relationships. And I can go on about that. But that's just, I'm splitting hairs, but it just makes me crazy. And so I love that approach, and it's doing the work. It's earning. I love how you're saying, like, it's earning the right to move the relationship forward. And if we're not doing things to earn that relationship and move it forward, then we're actually doing a disservice, not only to ourselves, but to the people that we're connecting with too.
Yep, absolutely.
The other thing that I say because I also teach like both at a college and a university where I live, is like we tell the students and the businesses that I work with is, you don't want to talk at someone. You're talking with someone. And I think that's another reframe that people don't necessarily get when they're using these social tools. And I'm talking with, like, I guess regardless of age, quite frankly, because even my 19-year-old students are the same thing as the people that have been in business for a long time, is the social media, probably because we're not getting back to that Erica woman about this digital body language, because we're not seeing someone's face, we're not getting the interaction with them. People have a tendency of talking at their network as opposed to talking with their network. And that's a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, and if we think about, even when we update our status, our goal is to create a conversation and a connection with us. It's very different. Like we were sharing before, I got this new Zap pad.
I know. I want to know more about that. Tell me.
So it's got like
just
20.
Zoom.
Just for Zoom, right? It's got 25 buttons.
That's
but cool. Yeah, so I'm going to start a conversation by posting a video and a transcript about this, right? I'm going to do that. And I'm hoping people have questions, they want to know about it. That's what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to start a conversation because maybe there's another way. So I look at these buttons. It seems really straightforward to me, but I bet people are going to say, well, what about this button? And why doesn't it have that? And how can this improve? And hey, does it really do that? Like if I hit the button, right, it'll change my screen. Well, that's pretty cool, right? So stuff like that.
And they're going to be like, I hate buttons. I hate everything about buttons. Right. Technology, you're going to get some of those people too, right?
Yeah.
Or there's something that's like, oh, that's so cool. Somebody else like, why does technology have to happen? This stuff sucks, You're going to get those too, right? Yeah.
Right. We're probably not connections if you hate technology,
that's true.
Right? Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Yep. But I'm trying to start a conversation, right? I'm trying to talk with you to your wonderful point there. That is really important. And I think too many miss that. Too many think that just Oh, I said something profound. Now, you will see those people get comments, but they're usually like, right on, bro. Yeah, good stuff. Well, what the hell kind of value does that add? I mean, come on. I see that. I mean, that's if your goal is maybe it's your team, right? I mean, that's fine. If your goal is to fire your team up and get them all to think like you and let's charge into battle, well, okay, that might work. But if you want a conversation with strangers, you got to ask some questions. You got to be interested in what they think about it. I mean, I'm not saying my videos always get tons of traction or a lot of comments because, heck, I'm so not perfect. But that's my intention, right? When I shoot a video, I think about that. How might that help?
Yeah, 100%. And like, I'm sure it drives you crazy too, is I'll see these images on LinkedIn of like, use the celebrate button if you think this, use the heart button.
Oh, yeah.
This is like, and there's tons of people, or figure out this equation, and that will show you how smart you are. Like this clickbaity stuff, and people are gullible. They do it, and they think. Or did you see the one that was like, if you press this button? Like, have you seen that one? If you press this button, see what it'll do. And it's like, does that actually convert any business? No, it doesn't. People are just like, click, unsubscribe, delete, block.
Yep.
Forget
you
it.
Suck. Yep, I agree.
Is that the new emoji other than the glasses one? It'll be like that.
Yeah, the downward thumbs down, Phil sticking his tongue out.
You suck.
Yep, that's right.
That'll be the new thing, right? Have you heard about this creator? So LinkedIn there's so many different things that are coming out with creator. I watched this gal named Cher Jones, who I think is fantastic. She's a broadcaster in a past life, and I think she's a Toronto-based girl here. Does amazing LinkedIn lives, and she's been talking about this creator mode. Have you got access to that? Have you seen it? Do tell. Inquiring minds want to know.
Well, I don't have it yet, and I haven't looked even to see if I do, to be quite honest with you, because first, when I'm teaching LinkedIn, most of my people won't have it. So while I'd love to take advantage of it, even if I have it, I don't know that I want it, right? So I'll look different. And it does flip your connect button to a follow button.
Which
does give you.
I've done that. That's why you have 3,000 followers as opposed to so yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
No, I have my follow button.
Yeah, that's cool, right? And you can totally do that, and that's fine, right? That's an option, right? Why are you on LinkedIn? Just, decide what you want. That's great. And it also gives you then a video banner, which is interesting. And I guess some other stuff too. I haven't seen it in a while. I read what Social Media Today wrote an article about it a couple of weeks ago that I shared on Twitter, that I thought it's interesting, right? I would say anything you can do to help your profile stand out if you're trying to get business with LinkedIn is a great thing. So I would bet we're going to see a lot of content creators that flip to that profile, and it's going to be really interesting because just remember, if all they're doing is following, you can't message them.
Right.
So they could be third degree, they could be more than third degree. You have so basically, unless LinkedIn starts letting us monetize our live streams, which there's been no indication they will, and I doubt that they will, because that would be dumb from their perspective. Unless they do that, you're not going to get people to connect. If they don't connect, you can't have sales conversations. If you can't have sales conversations, you're never going to have business, right? So I think it's interesting, right? I think creator mode is interesting. Creator profile, very interesting. I don't know, other than showing off your profile as a showpiece, I don't know what good that is. So are we going to see people make their LinkedIn their homepage? I mean, and then advertise? Does it turn them into a public figure that now they can run LinkedIn ads? I don't know, right? I don't know. We'll see how that happens.
Yeah, I always love to see. I mean, I do get the FOMO, right? Like, of course, I want to be seen as like, oh, she's got access to this. So but I get where you're coming from insofar as like, is it going to be a valuable tool in the future? So if I back up a second, because I'm ready to ask about like the advanced stuff that
Sure.
about like the advanced stuff, but even from the basic perspective, because I'm sure this happens to you as well, because it certainly happens to me, is the call of like, we need an advanced LinkedIn session, and then I'll look at a few of the people's profiles and I go, no, no, honey, without saying it in a like, oh, honey, no, but it's like, let's look at you guys getting ready to walk before you're ready to run. So what do you think are some of the basics that people really need to focus on insofar as, okay, before you get into the advanced sales stuff and all the bells and whistles, what are the foundational things that you think people really need to focus on first?
Sure. So first thing, get dressed before you get busy.
Yes.
You have to have a good profile. If your profile sucks.
Literally and figuratively, because I think we talked about, I've seen people with no shirt on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, like their picture with no shirt on. So literally and figuratively, get dressed.
Yep. Get dressed before you get busy. Second, know who your target customer is and write your profile that way.
Yes.
And then use that to drive connections. And then the third thing, really, because there's only three fundamentals that you need. The third thing is share valuable content and comment on other people's valuable content.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Those are the basic things that you need. From there, then the big stuff, right? There you go. Yeah, you got it, right?
Same thing, right? Create, connect, convert. It's the same fundamental principles, right?
That's right. Yep, exactly right. So we've got those. From there, then the advanced stuff is really just how you slice your network and how you position your messaging and what your cadence is and how you find friends of friends and how you identify, right? You do some account-based marketing and stuff like that. That's more advanced strategy and tactic. But if your profile sucks, you don't know who you're talking to, and you don't know what value you add to the world, well, LinkedIn's not for you.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, I can't tell you how, like, even as the LinkedIn profile writer, and people sometimes will message me and say like, well, they'll inquire about my rates, and I'll tell them how much I charge. And then they go, some people, when I tell them like face to face, they go, ooh, that's a good chunk of change. And I'm like, do you have any idea how long it takes me? We have the hour-long interview. Every single one is customized. It's personalized. I learn more about, I do the research. It's not a cookie cutter I do have a fill in the blanks in my book, but talk with your audience, join the conversation they already have in their brain to let them know that you understand exactly what they're going through and how you can help them. Because it's not about me, the most important person, me, right? I stole that from Seth.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, it's never about me, right? Even though it's social media, it's really social udia.
Oh, I love it. Social udia. Look at you. You're so fancy.
You're silly.
It's so true. It's like, I love how Seth, I've watched this so often, the so many Seth videos, and he's like, me, the most important person, me. I don't want email, I want me-mail.
Right. It's so true, right? That's all we all want.
Yeah. All about me and my time and my timing. Oh my gosh, we're getting so close to the end of our conversation, and I still haven't even cracked the surface of like I hate that word, picking your brain, but like understanding your perspective on so many different things. But of course, you and I know we can talk for hours and not have enough time to get through it all. So, so obviously people can reach you on your website. Okay, before we leave, what do you have any like mantra? Like, I like to think of a last sort of like, do you leave anybody like when you finish your keynote presentations, is there a last message, or is there what is it that you want people to know?
Well, the biggest thing that I'd like people to know is that if you have a strategy and you execute it well, you're going to succeed way more than people who just are random. So create a strategy first and execute it well. Do your best. It doesn't have to be perfect, and do it often.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, right? But intentionality matters. I mean, accidental success is accidental. You can't repeat it. There's no system or process behind that. So create something that's worth doing, and then do it often.
Yeah. And I think what is it, Seth, that also says, and I'm going to maybe get this wrong, but it's simple. You put the work in, it's simple, but I'm not even getting it right, but it's
simple, but not easy. Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, and it is kind of easy if you just stay focused and you stay on it. And I think that's, you and I are simpatico definitely about that, and that's why we love Seth. I tell people, if there was a church of Seth Godin, I'd be in the pew saying hallelujah. And I got to meet him briefly when he was speaking at a conference. I don't know if I told you this story, maybe I did. But I've met a few celebrities in my regular everyday life, just, random celebrities, and I've been nervous meeting them. I meet Seth Godin, I'm standing there and I'm like, I got his book, and I'm like, it's as if I'm meeting God himself. I'm that much of a dorky marketer. And then a friend of mine, we were standing in the we were outside after the conference and waiting, just sort of everybody's outside and congregating around. And Seth just sort of walks on by like he's just and I'm like, what is happening here? Like and like there's people that they're not as famous as he is, or maybe not as beloved as he is, and they've got bodyguards and they're an entourage and they go at the back door, and there's Seth just going to get a sandwich, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get to talk to you again, and he was just sort of like, it's just me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think that's a funny story about that. But
I love it.
It's all about authenticity, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So how can people reach you, Mr. Phil Gerbyshak? Obviously, LinkedIn is one of the ways people can reach you.
For sure. Yeah, that's really good. You can always go to philgerbyshak.com. My company is Process and Results. You can go there, or just find me on your favorite social network. It's real simple. I'm Phil Gerb, PHILGERB. Find me pretty much anywhere. And if you have a question, just reach out.
Yeah, and I know you're going to respond because that's the kind of guy you are.
I do my best. I'm not perfect, but I try.
Well, and maybe it's because we've built that rapport. You're just like instantaneous. Like if I have a question, it's amazing to me that it's never a day later. It's almost like within the hour. You're like, listen, I'm busy. I'll get right back to you. Or, anyway, so I just admire you so much. You're one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. I'm sorry that we didn't get to see each other last year. And probably maybe not next year, certainly not this year. And I really do hope that, I get to come back and see you in Florida sometime soon, and we get to reconnect in person. So thank you again for spending the time with me, my friend.
My pleasure. It's great to see you again, Leslie.
Great to see you too. We'll talk soon.
See ya.